remember we moved out of our house. We moved into my in-law's garage and we converted it so we could live in that. So I was living in that with my wife and the 2 children. It was a good garage. I mean, we shut the doors up and we put heating in there. Like, we put carpet down after a while. You could sleep there. But we took it all the way back to ground zero so I can set up this new business, which was then Securo. And just went on this journey. No direction, no plan, but loads of want, loads of grit, loads of fire. And there is definitely an opportunity of light. So that's what I went and did.
Welcome to Your Mind, Your Business, the podcast that dives into the real grit of entrepreneurship. I'm your host, Carina McLeod, CEO and founder of eCommerce Nurse, an e-commerce growth agency. And I have a special guest today, Neil Sweeney from Carmel Jane Photography. Welcome, Neil.
Hey, good morning. I'm sorry I'm a bit late.
That's all right.
Yeah, we're here. Amazing.
We're all right. We're calm. So I guess everyone's like, who's Neil? So I'm going to hand it over and let you share who Neil is.
I think what a great question in terms of just as a start of who even am I? Professionally, this word entrepreneur, I suppose it's the modern word now, right? But I am one of those chaotic, dysfunctional, non-consistent kind of characters, but I do have an eye for certain things. And so over my journey in my work life, in who am I there, then I am an entrepreneur, I suppose, by spirit. I'm involved I'm a managing director of what is Carmel Jane Photography. That is a high volume school photography business. We work with over 300,000 heads through a season, 600 plus schools. So really busy business. And also I'm an implementer of what is known as EOS, Entrepreneurial Operating System. So I help other companies just get a grip of their business and fly. So they're my 2 sort of professional ventures.
Yeah, and I'm sure I'll be picking your brain later on the EOS. So, but I'm guessing, when I speak with a number of guests, sometimes that entrepreneurial spirit wasn't necessarily obvious at the start. So if we hit rewind and go back to the very, very start of your entrepreneurial journey, what does that look like for you?
Yeah, I guess my starting ground, my university, I'm not an academic. Never was. This dyslexic thing, which is very common, very popular now, wasn't really quite diagnosed back when I was at school. But I was in the special class. So I was in with Mrs. Bowker, 3 of us in the class, kind of thinking, why am I in this? Or why should I be here? But it's probably because if I'm not interested, I'm out. It's just as simple as that. That's just how my mind is. If I'm passionate, I'm excited, I'm interested by it, I'm all in. And so within that, my then journey, I was into property because I suppose my character, my personality was really, I could shine in that kind of space. So my early days of my university was in property. And from there, it was commercial agency. And I think that, in actual fact, Carina, that was my best footing because I spent 15 years in talking to commercial owners, investors, landlords, tenants moving in, what they're looking to do, they're growing. So every day I'm talking to commercially minded people. So not even knowing it, that was a really good university for me and learnings of, so what are you doing? So we're expanding, we're product, we're service, customer service, we create things, we build things, we're offices, we're building, we're developers. And I just was in this really amazing network from the age of 19 years old. And that carried on all the way up to the age of 30, in that space. So that was my footing. That was my first part of the journey. Do you want to go into a little bit about the sort of from there? Or?
Yeah, go for it. I guess one question I have on that part, were you working for someone or were you sort of working for yourself?
I was working in as a local agent initially from sunny Southend in Essex in the UK, the place of hopes and dreams and all that jazz. And then I just moved up into more regional kind of agencies. But, integrating that, the way that my mind works, I was never going to be a surveyor. I'm never going to be a professional practice in terms of, right, Neil, you need to go and do some exams. You need to get your Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors, all your docs around you and all that. I'm just not that guy. But in terms of people, I am that guy. So I worked really well in that. So that was probably my footing. Regional agent, commercial property. Yeah, that was really my place there.
And I guess then if we move on to that, there's a part where if you're in that role, you're working for other businesses.
Yeah.
So that part where you're like, want to start working for yourself?
Yeah. I mean, my journey through that now, I get it now why they needed me to do certain things.
Yep.
Why they needed me to show up and be a certain person. Why I needed to document certain things. Why I needed to create folders and binders. And, we were paperwork and files back then, so it was, you needed to have a code for everything. And because of the nature of what the beast was. So my learnings as an employee was how to function and what to do, and saw it and always pushed against the grain. It's just my way. But they were very forgiving or very giving to me because they knew what I was like. I could bring the money, I could create money, I could go and do that. But I'm just not, I can't, cross T's, dot I's. I don't read conditions. I don't read, I don't read contracts. I'd get someone else to help me do all of that jazz. But I did understand, I suppose it gave me the footing and understanding of what a semi kind of corporate company looked like, because that's what it was, my last business that I was involved in as a regional agent.
So what was the next step for you then?
So in the last probably 5 years, so now I'm late 20s, and I'm meeting all these people. And look, the thing is from here, Carina, we're all learning, aren't we? I don't know what's going on. I'm sure you don't. We're just in this journey, aren't we? We're on this hustle. We're finding our way. I'm learning every day. I'm making mistakes and doing all these things. And I kind of was meeting all these other people doing the same. So I thought, in actual fact, they're no different to me. In actual fact, some of the most wealthiest people I know, they're no different to me, to us. They're on the journey. They're on the learnings. But they've got certain skill sets. And I think that was probably that point that I thought I want to do something for myself. I want to make my own mistakes. I want to create and do and be. And so from that was when I set up my first business. I borrowed a desk from someone, it was then client and now is a friend of mine. And I created what was Securo. So Securo was, we had all these vacant properties and we were looking after them. So I had no plan. I had no direction. I just knew that there was an opportunity that I could go and look after these vacant buildings with a little alarm system and charge rent to the client. So, we can look after your building. So I went, do you know what? That's what I'm going to go and do. So I left the bosom of this corporate life. When I gave notice to my boss, I remember took him for a pint and said, look, I've seen this opportunity and I just want to go and grab it. And he went, Neil, go and get it, mate. There's a seat here for you because you're a great character. You'll always make some money for us and for yourself, but go and do it. And so that was my first part out. I remember we moved out of our house. We moved into my in-law's garage and we converted it so we could live in that. So I was living in that with my wife and the 2 children. It was a good garage. I mean, we shut the doors up and we put heating in there. We put carpet down after a while. You could sleep there. But we took it all the way back to ground zero so they can set up this new business, which was then Securo. And just went on this journey. No direction, no plan, but loads of want, loads of grit, loads of fire. And there is definitely an opportunity of light. So that's what I went and did.
How did that feel? Because, having that corporate part, although you hadn't burnt your bridges, you knew you could go back. But giving up everything and saying, do you know what? I'm going for this.
Yeah. It's just exciting. Just exciting. I think if the moment you can actually start to see some momentum, I created this business from nothing. I remember my wife, she had a dance college and I went and got all these dance students and I put high vises on them and made them look like they were my staff. We got photos of all these people. My brother had a building business and a construction company and we got decals and we put them all over the vans so it looked like it was my business and we got all these photos. So I created a brochure. And then when I went to the market to go, oh, look, we're great. No, I didn't have any staff. It was just me at that point, and then started to acquire. But it was just exciting, it's because it's your own, right? You can go and just get on your own terms.
Did you ever have any sort of thoughts? Because you sound really upbeat and somebody that's really positive. Were there any other thoughts sort of creeping in going, am I actually crazy doing this? Or any panic? Or were you just like...
Yeah, do you know, I've never had that. Yeah, and when I think about the road and the journey that I've had since then, for the last nearly 15 years of entrepreneurialism, if you call it that, I've never felt it. And I think some people are, and some people are very safe. And I've got some great friends that have been in the same job for 25, 30 years, and that's cool. It's not for me, but it's cool. It's very safe. They know where they are. They're very successful. But the confines of knowing just what that looks like, it actually horrifies me, I think, in that sense. And it did in my old business. I thought, I looked at where I could go and thought, I just want, I like just a blue sky. You know, how big? Well, how fast do you want to run? How fast do you want to, how big do you want it to be? And it's stuff that I do now in my EOS when I work with clients. Like, it can be 500,000 or it can be 500 million. It's totally where you want to take it. And I love that kind of, you know, that's the juice for me.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, you can see clearly it's the fire in your, it gies you that fire in your belly to just kind of keep
totally.
going.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And I love what you say, like, you just like make it out. I haven't got any staff, but like what you just went and did.
You're fake it till you make it. You're absolutely that because you are that.
Yeah.
Now, some will see through it, but if you are delivering certain things, which is what we did in the early part of the business, we were delivering. I mean, I had 7 hats. I'm a salesman, I'm operational, I'm finance, I'm doing the tech, I'm trying to fit these cameras. I'm everywhere. I had 3 change of clothes in the van. I'd turn up in the van, I'd put a tweed suit on, go and have a meeting, get back on, hard hat goes on, go onto site. Like, you were because you had to be.
Yeah.
But I'm fine. I was fine with that, right?
Yeah.
You know, I'm doing it.
And how did you manage that? Because you sort of said when you were in your corporate role, like doing all the kind of the filing, the fold, you know, all those sort of bits and where you can lose interest. How do you manage that when you've got 7 different hats on? Because I'm guessing there are some roles that you took that you were like, oh my God, this is not me.
Yeah. I've always believed and always known it, and it's a big thing for me now, is just get people around you, get them quickly. And that part is I got my business partner very early on in the business, and he bought into the company with his van. He threw a £2,500 Vauxhall Corsa van in because we needed a van, right? So he's like, okay. But he was the yin to my yang. That was perfect. He was methodical, quite technical. You know, he liked his detail. You know, he's one of them guys, which is brilliant. And I'm not that guy. So actual fact, probably as a first footing straight off the bat, that was a brilliant partnership. And I took hardly any money from it for the first year, very small amounts of money just to survive. Everything, keep rolling it back up, recruit. If we're doing £4,000 a month, right, will that get us a member of staff? Go again, keep going. Where some might have gone, oh, brilliant, you know, I've got £10,000 this month, right, I can take a bit and I can maybe pay the credit card off or get the sofa for the garage, you know, whatever it might be, where I'm like, no, that can get us another member of staff. Because I need to keep getting these hats away and get these people around me. Yeah. I'm big into people. Like, I know I love my team. I love my team in the business I'm in now. I've loved all my people in my teams that I've had in my companies and historically. So that is big for me. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I like that, the fact that you got brought in a partner, as you say, it's your yin and yang, as you know. Was that because you've got an idea and you want to go with that? Did you ever have any thoughts as in, is this the right person? Because it's kind of like a marriage when you bring a partner in, right?
Yeah, and it's really, really important, and they can absolutely fail. You know, like a marriage, like a partnership, like a friendship, like all of that, they can absolutely fail. I was so lucky to I knew him anyway. He was a locksmith when I was a commercial agent. He'd come and change the locks. We had a good little relationship. We'd sit down in the cafe and have a catch up and that. I knew he could be so much more and he wanted to do so much more. I wanted to. So we just, I mean, we're great friends now. We have been since all the businesses we've built and sold and so on. And I'm just really lucky to have that.
Yeah, definitely. And then, so when you're running a business, and I guess, like you say, you've got all these different hats on, but you never ran a business before.
No, I have a clue.
Do you ever have that point where you're just like, what the hell am I doing?
Yeah, I do it. I even do it now. 3 businesses in, you just, because you are on that journey all the time.
Yeah.
But again, okay, I don't understand this. I don't know the legal parts. All of our terms and contracts, let's get a lawyer, let's get a legal, let's get a solicitor to read that. Okay, so now we need someone admin. Okay, what does that look like? Let's get the advert out. Let's find someone. I found a fantastic, Carly, her name was, came in to be what was a kind of a PA to us. Turned out that she was fantastic, all operational, running the business in terms of all the methodical paperwork. Brilliant. Now we need engineers. Let's put it out there. Let's get great engineers to work for us. Lots of hiring, firing, moving, shifting, rewarding, recognising. But that's where I put a lot of my effort in, to my people and the team. I just keep growing it, yeah.
And how do you find, like you mentioned the hiring and firing part, because it's all great when you're a people person, when people are doing a great job and everything's going sort of well. But then there are hard times, right, with people where actually they can't stay in the business any longer. How do you manage that part?
Learnings. I always see the best in people. I always think, okay, maybe we all have blimps in our life. We have bumps and bumpy roads and things that go on in our world. It's just what we do. And you think, oh, maybe if I just give them another chance, or we just do that, and you let it run. And you let, well, it's been okay this month, and you let it go. But I believe now, having recruited and tens to hundreds of people, I imagine, through those years, there is something that you feel. There's a feeling that you just go, can I sit with them? Do they work well? Could I serve them? As a leader, can I serve them, and how are they going to be as we evolve and grow? But roles outgrow people, So in our earlier part of the business, when the business was doing 100 grand a year, it's just everyone get your hands on deck, right? Let's just keep muscling. But when it goes to then 3, 4, 5 million pound a year, it's a very different business. So that role will just sometimes it just exceeds someone. But if you've got the right people with the right personality, the right attitude, the right being, they're just someone that you want on your bus, on the bench.
Yep.
There's always a seat for them. You just want them in the business. You'll find something will work.
Yeah.
And I've kind of worked to that. That's been my way.
Have you ever sort of looked back at any decisions that you've made in the past that you're like, based on where I'm at now, I'd do that differently?
Yeah, I think take action even quicker was one. Just do it more. Just go at it quicker. I think there was a couple of big moves that I could have and should have taken. It's hindsight. Beautiful old thing, that, isn't it? Lovely thing, hindsight.
Yeah.
It's the hindsight of, well, I could tell you what the lottery tickets numbers were last week. It's all the hindsight, isn't it? And for me, it's, if I do look back, there's not been regrets, but there's definitely been, I probably could have done that, and that should have, and that's all actually revolved around taking action quicker. Yeah. Because I've actually, the things that I've seen, they were opportunities, and I just, something stopped me. And I know I actually could have got over that, because you can get over so much if you just turn your head to it and go at it.
And you say something stopped you. Is that you getting in your own way, or something more external?
Both. So I'll give some examples. I'll put some context around it. One, so in Secure, which was my first business, there was, we're flying now, starting, great guns, it's moving, and there's, what is this little Dalek, and it's a little unit that sits, and you put it out on site, and there's a competitor that was just starting to do it, and I remember seeing them, and this was early in our journey, a year or two into the business, and I remember thinking, that is brilliant, that. It's a unit, you can put them in the van, they look great, they all, they just look brilliant. We need to fabricate them and put them out, rather than fitting these cameras up on poles and units and so on. We messed about, we faffed about, I got to fabricators, I just got waylaid and didn't do it. That company 10x'd our business, and I saw them absolute hockey stick and fly, because they could deploy these systems really quick. So that was a definite regret. I should have just gone at that and taken action. I knew it was a thing, even though our business was very successful. That could have worked. A hotel in Ibiza, I found it. I've always wanted a hotel. I've always wanted, and I love Ibiza. I love the Balearics and all of that. And I had some really good conversations, striking these conversations up. I had a really good contact out there. Anyway, I managed to find this hotel. It had been in the family for 30 years. It was just outside San Antonio. Really cool space. I had the design, I had the numbers. We went through the whole paperwork. I said, that is a great opportunity. Good money for what it was. And I ended up going, I've just got stuff on. No, I'll leave it. Well, 3 months later, it was bought by the Mambo brothers, and now they've kitted it out and made it into what is exactly what I said that could have been. And they're just these, and you're like, oh, I should have done that. Yeah. So they're not a regret, but they're kind of, should have taken action, could have done that. But there's loads of these little things. But equally, I've made decisions and things that are like, great, we did do that. Yeah. We did take action.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes it's like you say, you were like, oh, well, I'll get on to that. So is the passion, like, you've got the idea, but how much is that passion? Because for us, with the sense of urgency of, oh, I'd put it to one side. Yeah.
And that's it, because you've only got so many hours in the day. You're working on one thing, which is growing and it's working. And I guess that for me, it's sometimes, I love shiny things. I get excited by the early stuff. I'm 80-20. I'm all out 80. I never finish the 20% off. So I need that person to pick the 20% up for me. And so with that, I can see an opportunity, I can get it to a place, and now I need someone else to carry it forward, to actually roll that. And that's just my personality.
But you've been really successful. So your business, your security business, you grew it to a certain size and then sold it.
Yep, grew that nationally. And then we did the exit. Or that the exit was always kind of, in the last 5 years, was like, okay, well, what does it look like? What does do we want to sell it? Yeah. How much money do we need? Like, what happens next? And all these things. And, if I could pass a learning that I've had is I never really knew what I wanted to do next. I just kind of was like, okay, should we sell it? What does it look like? And we started getting some advice around that. And it was in the pandemic, and I ended up reaching out to one of the largest security companies in Europe. COVID was here. We flew to Sweden because it was the only place you could meet at that time. Had our meet. Next thing, under offer, business was sold. And yeah, it was quite a quick process. Do I regret selling it? I've been asked that same question. Yes and no. No, yes, I do, because it's such a fantastic business with amazing people in it. No, because it's just giving me my next chapter.
Yeah.
And now life is a book.
Yeah.
And I need to just keep throwing chapters in.
Yeah. 100%.
I don't want to stay in the same role like we said earlier.
Yeah, definitely. Was that the plan at the start when you set it up?
Yeah, when I very first set it up, I always have the end in mind, and it's something a friend of both of ours, James Sinclair, I remember sitting in something that he did years and years ago, and it was such a great nugget. Just have the end in mind. So I was always working to what does a business need to look like? The systems, the process, the client base, our logistics, the funding, the finance, like all of these things. Because if I do want to sell it, it needs to be kind of be oven ready or near to. So it was the end in mind, but then when we started to actually talk about where do we go, what do we do, what's it worth, how much money do you really need, and what do you do with that? If you at that point we're earning well, we're having our holidays. I'm not that materialistic. I don't need all these great things around us. So then, what is it that you are going to do? And I think it just went deeper for me there.
Definitely. So you're starting you're on your next chapter, but just before we go on to your next chapter, actually, it sounds like your business went like completely just on a upward trajectory.
Yeah.
Were there any ebbs and flows and moments where you're just like the troughs, like when things drop and you're like, this is not what I planned?
Yeah, I think we built another business in between that. I founded a company, Urban Life, which was a property management company, and we scaled that, and that was in the same offices. We scaled that for about 6 years, and we sold that. What I struggled with there, I'm now trying to serve two companies, be two people. People are seeing that one day I'm coming in, I've got a meeting about that, or I'm in London about Urban Life. That didn't quite work, didn't quite fit, just for a number of different dynamics. So I suppose my learning from that is if and when and as I build businesses, if I'm looking to acquire a whole different business in a whole different space, I need to make sure that I'm really clear what my roles are. I've got the right people in that. So you imagine it, I'm building a business, it's scaling, people are looking at me, I'm leading and helping and supporting, and I'm like, oh, by the way, I've got a whole new idea. And I think it's like, right, okay, what are you doing over there? So that was quite trying.
Yeah.
People, I mean, we're a beautiful thing. We've been around for 300,000 years.
Yeah.
We're a funny old being, aren't we?
Yeah.
And I'm never going to, I'm learning myself, I'm changing, I'm evolving, we are changing. And you've got to continue working on your team and people. You need people around you if you're going to build a business.
Yeah. Full
stop. It's as simple as that. So with that, then it's really making sure you've got those right people and nurturing and, and having that. That's been one. And some people just have absolutely blown me away with, I just didn't see it. I did not see you like this. Yeah. I always put it to like the Big Brother thing. The first week, everyone's quite polite, aren't they?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we're all getting on.
Yeah.
A great
the honeymoon.
Time. Watch it in 8 weeks.
Yeah.
They're throwing plates and pans at each other and all.
Yeah.
Just because you start to see the real person.
Yeah.
And I think that happens in work as well, doesn't it?
Oh, 100%.
And I've done it time and time again, and it will happen again. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when you sold your business, did you was it Carmel Jane Photography, or is there a part in the middle?
Yeah, so I sold Urban Life, the property management. That was about 2,500 units we had in that, and I sold that. Very easy thing to sell and move, and we just sold that because it just didn't fit with our plans.
Yeah.
And then Securo, agreed and sold that. And I kind of hit a bit of a trough. I was like, where do I want to go? What do I want to do? In the build-up to the sale of exit of Securo is what I then started to read the book Traction. That came into play. That's now a really big part of my life, because I love helping people, love business. I'm curious. I want to help there. And it was a perfect fit that when I then sold Securo, I found out that you could be an implementer of what is Traction, the book that I read. A little bit around Traction. It's a brilliant book because it's an easy book. And I love simple things, simplicity. I can read it, I get it. You can take a nugget out and put it in your company. And I did that. So I put a couple of these things into the business and they just worked. I was like, that's really effective. And then when I sold, I then learnt that you could become an implementer of what is the book Traction. It's called EOS, is what's in it, Entrepreneurial Operating System. And I learnt that you could actually teach people how to put that in their company to get a grip, to scale better and just become a healthier, better business. I was like, that's a perfect fit for me. I've got the scars, I've learnt the grit, I've all of that. And now I can bring that, and with this blueprint of what has been around for 20 years to how to really control a company and get everyone in kind of a holistic way, everyone moving in the right direction. I was like, that is dreamy. So that's what I then became. Flew to Dallas, went on this boot camp, learnt it all. And that's a big part of what I do now. And I've been doing that now for 2.5 years, along with my other interests with Carmel photography. And that's been fantastic. It's made me a better person as well.
Yeah. Well, hats off to finding that, because I think that you say when you have an exit in mind, that's the focus. And then all of a sudden you're running at 100 miles per hour and then I'm guessing it stops. Yeah. So.
Well, you're into fitness, right?
Yeah.
I'm watching you. I tell you what, if you're not in mud ponds, you're running, you're on the bike, you're running, you're lifting. So when you do an event, you've got this prep, this train, haven't you? Like everything's in. Your whole lifestyle is focused on that. And then you do the event. There is a moment of euphoria because you're like, achievement. And then how do you feel the week after?
Oh, I always have a come down.
Yeah, right. So it's just what happens. And imagine doing that. Imagine training for an event for a decade. Imagine a training for 10 years for this event. And then next thing you know, in 3 months, the sales happened. It's like, it's so quick. And you're like, all right, it's there. And I remember listening to a Steve Bartlett podcast, and when he sold his company, obviously 10x in what my company sold for, but it's still the same feeling, is he just said, in his words, and it's so true, you climb this mountain, you just think there's going to be this confetti celebration. I'm like, oh, I've got there. And then it's like, actually, in fact, yes, there's money in the bank, but I've always been okay. Like the last years, I got a car, and I can have a holiday, go for dinner. I can do what we're very lucky in this part of the world we're in. So now what? And I just had that big trough. Yeah. And I think that, so now again, when I work with clients on EOS, deep diving, like, where do you want to go? What's the vision? Yeah. Which I'll go into a little bit more about that in a moment. But so it's just really making sure that, if you are looking to sell, that's awesome. Or you are looking for an exit. Well, okay. And what and why? Yeah. What's the why behind it?
Yeah, definitely. So you sell your business, you're going through a little bit of a down. How did you manage it? Because you seem, as I said earlier, you're very positive. Yeah. So I'm getting upbeat. So I'm guessing when you were feeling that was kind of a big deal. That's very different, for you.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, we bought a farm. So we've moved out the garage, and that's a result. And now we bought a farmhouse, and there was always a promise that when I said to the family that once I build and create this, I'll be able to buy us the things that, I want us to get to, the comforts that we need. So we bought a farmhouse and bits, and at the back of the farm is a piggery. And I remember sort of a month into it, I've got my wheelbarrow. I'm thinking, I can mess about in the piggery, and and I'm mucking out and clearing. And it's like a Wednesday afternoon. Like, what am I doing here? Like, why am I here? I'm in James Martin, another friend of ours. He did a podcast, and recently he said one about he sold his business and he bought these Mercedes SLs, these beautiful old classic Mercedes, and he's gone to this Goodwood Classics show, and he's looked at himself in the mirror with his tweed cap, and just thought, what are you doing here? And I had the same thing, like, I've got so much to give, and it was a very quick catalyst that, that was, the EOS was like, right, that's where I want to go, and just really sort of stepped into that.
Yeah. So you've got the EOS, which I guess is more from a consultancy, you as an individual. Yeah. And then you've got the Carmel photography.
So, so EOS, that's happening. That's flying, that's great, that's working. And Carmel Jane, I've known her for a long time in networking events and do's and so on over the period. We got chatting. She came to me with some advice about, okay, what does the exit look like? What do I look for? And I said, well, let's get together, have a cup of tea, and we'll just go through the numbers. And, first base is, what's it worth? And if what it's worth, what do you want? How does it all stack? So we went through that journey. She had someone interested in it, and I was like, cool. I can't hold a camera. So I was never, and also I'd just done an exit with lots of people, lots of teams, and just actual fact, just time out. EOS, that's just me now. Work with people, enjoy the journey with that. Great. So it fitted. So this just came around the corner, and sat with Carmel, and she didn't quite fit with this particular individual that was looking to buy it. And I remember taking Duke, my dog, for a walk, and then rang her up and just said, look, I'd love to get around a table around that, because I think it's a really exciting opportunity. And like an entrepreneur, we see the shiny things and we go, right. And that was the birth of that conversation. 6 months later, I'd bought half the business. So Carmel was my partner. I've then come in with my dynamic. I know nothing about the industry. I know nothing about photography, but I do know about people and about systems and processes and what we should look for. And I do think that brings a huge value as well, those sort of things. So like as a passing learning, be right over your business. Don't be in it, because you'll just be in it like everyone else. Get someone else to be in it.
Yeah.
But that's if you want to be that person. Again, I want to be 50,000 foot. I want to be up the top. Okay, have we got the right people? Have we got the financing? Do we need a bigger facility? Do we need more contracts, more schools, more clients, more? What's the sales dynamic like? What's the operational dynamic? We've got AI in the company, like all of that. And that's up here, isn't it? If I was on the ground taking the photos, it's great, but that's just my job.
And I think that's fascinating, because your first business was very much what you knew.
Yeah.
And there was some slight correlation, right, to what you were previously doing, whereas photography, completely different.
Totally.
And it's also a business that you're not starting up. It's a mature state, I guess.
Yeah.
So
15 years.
Yeah. So how do you then, if you've gone from startup, I guess you've gone to some element of maturity in your last business, but it's a different landscape altogether.
Totally different landscape. So this is where I want to twin my two things, because this is where hopefully there'll be some learnings here.
Yeah.
So in EOS, there's 6 key components you need to strengthen to get like a company on rocket fuel. So the first is vision. I need to ensure that I've got the entire leadership team at that first, it's your first base, that we are 100% clear where we want to go. Where does it want to go in 10 years? What does it want to look like? And then great, okay. And then we want to crystallize it. What do we want it to look like in 3 years? Because you can get to 36 months. It's a bit more tangible. You can start to see it. Then you break it back and you go, okay, what do you want to do this year then? What do we need to action do we need to take this year to go there in 3 to 10 years? And you just break it down. And its first part is making sure that if you ask your leadership team, where's the business going, that they have an answer. And, it's the same thing. I mean, and for you with your team and your staff, and for the people that you work with, if they were to ask their leadership team just at the minute, where's the company going? Do they know? Is the first thing. Most of the time it is no. They're like, no, don't really know. Maybe this year, maybe the 6 months, they might have that picture, but definitely not long. So it's getting that part, because that is the birth of going, I know what I'm here to do. Is your company 500,000 or 500 million? And it's irrelevant. It can totally be either number, but they both are very, very different. And we've got to go really all gear on for 500 million if we want to, but that's fine, because there are 500 million pound companies. So it's that part. Then it's the people. So once you're clear with the vision, then it's your people. You've got to get the right people in the right business, in the right seat. And what I was talking about earlier about getting these right people. So now I've come into Carmel Jane, learning what I've learned. I'm like, right, have we got all the right people? What are they like? Do they all fit? Not everyone always fits, and you're finding how that works. But are they the right person, and are they in the right seat? They've got to be together. Right person, how they show up, they've got the right values, their behaviour, but they know what to do. They get the role, they want the role, they've got the capacity to deal with this seat, because sometimes roles exceed them. They've got to be together, so there's work that we do there. Then it's the part where it's the data. Love data now. Like, track your data weekly. Do we know what our numbers are? Our weekly numbers. So are they all correlating? And is everyone clear on what that looks like? And then with that, even with data, making sure that everyone in the business, that they've got a number on their head. Not because I'm going, well, I want to know, but because everyone now, once we're now sharing the vision with everyone's like, yeah, do you know what? I'm a part of this. I want to contribute. Okay, Carina, I need from you 3 wibble grommets a week, because we're going to grow to that. You're going, yeah, okay, let's do it. So I'm getting now data from everyone, and I understand my business. I'm starting to get a really good feel of it. And then there's something that we do, which is all these issues. Every company's got hundreds of issues all the time. They're everywhere, aren't they? They're just there. They're going to come in the door tomorrow. Hey, come on, in you come. Welcome them in. But I don't want them to be in and put them under the carpet because I'm busy or because we're busy. Because that issue is what we call it. That's going to affect something, someone, somewhere. So we need to shine a light on it. And there's a method that I use and a way that we work that with all of my team, I'm always like, any issues? Are you good? Like, not an issue with a frown. Oh, shut the door. I'm like, good. Has he got it? What have you got? Like, brilliant. What was it? Oh, well, that's not quite working. Brilliant. Okay, what do we do? So I'm trying to get their mindset to welcome them in, get the stuff through. Then it's our processes, which is the fifth one. I've got a couple more and then we're done on this part. But it encapsulates it all. The processes, you've got to have clear processes. Everything's got to be aligned there through the whole business because it makes it healthier, happier, more functional. So that's, again, 50,000 feet. What are our processes? How does that whole journey look, from taking a photo to our sales journey, to the photography, to our printing? You know, it's a very, very busy business. Things are moving all the time. Just make sure it's linear, it's illustrative, and then we clear it with everyone. Just make sure everyone's on the same track. So it's making sure the processes are clean and clear. They've got to be documented and followed. It's just what we do, but simple. I don't want a binder. I don't want a 700-page binder. I'm not McDonald's, but I do need a very clean, stepped process. And then the final bit is the traction. And the traction is how we have our meetings, to have really, really good meetings. And there's something that we do, which is called ROCKS, which is our priorities. Everyone has priorities in the business that they go, right, I know what I need to go and do for the next 90 days. So all of that together brings down, which is what this EOS model. But if you work on all of them 6 key components, oh God, you have such a good business.
I love that.
Amazing.
Because what you've been talking about, if we go back to your 20s and you're in this corporate world and it's more about managing people, you didn't want to get sort of involved in that, you weren't getting involved in that sort of detail. Then you go to a business that you're just starting up, and now you've purchased a business where you've learned so much, and it's like all of this can now be applied to this business that's already big in that industry, but you can see that with some tweaks and everything with what you're doing, can take it to the next level. It can be
so much more functional.
Yeah.
You know, like we say, we've been on this planet for 300,000 years. We're trying to work ourselves out still. AI's coming through. Ooh, it's AI. Yeah. AI's been around for 50 years. I mean, in the earlier days when it was a chess system working stuff out. You remember that? Yeah. Well, now it's it's a generational AI, which has been around for only 5 years. But primarily it's people, right? We're still about the people. I get we need the systems and AI and all of these smart stuff. But we've got to be clear here. We've got to find the fire and the passion and the drive for everyone. And it's not easy. But the learnings that I've had now, being able to bring that into a company, to see it transform and fly, like I've empowered the team. They are owning it and absolutely bossing that business. And it's a joy to watch. And the same process that I use there and I have done in the company, because also as well, Carina, is doing that, I'd kind of done a year or 18 months of the journey of learning, studying it, helping other clients. Now I've acquired a company and I'm putting it in. I'm seeing it like, oh my God, this is amazing. So, and it worked. I mean, I've got clients that some are 50 million revenue with 250 staff. It still works. Yeah. The journey and process can work for 250 staff as it can for 200 staff or for 25 staff. Yeah. It's the blueprint of it still fits. And that's why I love them both, and they just totally complement each other. And that's a complete learning journey, because if you, like you said, at school, you were like, no, I'm not interested in everything. But to be able to apply all of that, there is some learning, like you say, for a year. So you obviously got your interest, I guess, part of running a business before. And one thing before we wrap up, actually, I always like to ask guests is, if you were to go back, if we went back like to that start of the journey, are there any things that you've learned now that you would, well, it probably is from what you just said. My God. Yeah. Like, what would you do differently? Yeah, I think definitely what I've learned on the EOS side, with real clarity, total clarity. You know, when someone sits there, you meet sometimes someone and you think, oh, they just seem to be owning this. They seem really confident and clear in their seat. You know, others are just everywhere. That, I think if I could have started off there with a lot more in clarity where I'm going to go and drafting it and clear there, I could have scaled it quicker. And that EOS would have been part of that, I would imagine, because of what my learnings are, and probably just take action. Like, screw it, just have a go, just go, keep going at it. You'll learn. Like, you'll fail and you'll learn. You know, it's what Tom Hanks, you know, is it thou too shall pass? I think that's sound. Have you ever heard of that? It's difficult times, thou too shall pass. Great times, thou too shall pass. Like, it's okay, you're just in this. It will pass. Just keep moving forward, but keep going at it.
Because you said something interesting at the start. Well, not at the start, but should I have sold my business or not? Does that play on your mind now? Because obviously you've got this sort of other learnings, right? And you're like, well, could I have put EOS into my previous business?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if I knew what I knew now and really put it into the business, then yeah, I could have just continued growing that. But the big part from that is, yes, yes, you can draw earnings from that, but it's the chunk. You can't get that. It's the real cash, the next move. But again, it's a journey, isn't it? Right?
Yeah, and I guess when you were with your previous business, was it more bootstrap?
Yeah. You're just you're as you're growing, you're investing, you're going again, and you just keep rolling it up. Many people might not have done that. Some may have hit a scene and gone, right, I'm happy with that. Where I'm always about, well, how good could it be? And I'm doing it now with Carmel Jane Photography. We've currently got 3 or 4% of the market. Like, there's 33,500 schools in the country. So we've got so much work to do. So could it be 10% of the market? That's 3,500 schools. What would that look like if it was 10% of the market? So these are the places that I love to. Who wants to set a ceiling?
Yeah.
How boring.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, this is it.
What's that about?
Spread your wings.
Yeah, of course.
So then, if we talk about Carmel Jane Photography, you've obviously purchased that you've got half of the business now, and if you're purchasing half of a business, you obviously have a vision for a future.
Yes.
What does that look like for you?
So in where we currently are with 600 schools at the moment, that's going to go to 1,500 schools in the next 3 years. So in theory, what that's going to do is that's going to 3x the size of the business. That's a bigger facility. That's more staff. That will look like 100 photographers over the current 45 photographers we've got. Better systems, better processes, a healthier place to be. You can always think of it. We work smart, which is to do what you do, but often we forget the healthy. How do my team show up? Are they looking forward to coming in for the day? Are they okay? Can they be open and honest? And all of these things, they're very important. A better business, a regionally, geographically scaling that. So there will be acquisition involved in that to get it to where it wants to be. And just a really good business. What that looks like in 5 years' time, I'll look at that. Will I sell it? I'll look at that. I don't have any ambitions for that at the moment, but definitely I know that I can make this because there's a market and there's a time for me to be able to make it greater, I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
It's already a great business.
Yeah, completely. And does that ever give you any oh crap moments, or is that just pure excitement?
I'm totally excited by it all. Yeah, because you're not on the earth long enough, are you really? Let's be fair. We're all going to be forgotten about in 100 years. So while we're here now, let's go and get on with it. I'm just excited about that.
I love that. I absolutely love your energy, and it's because sometimes we can get in our own heads, right? I mean, I'm saying that. It's probably I should say. Sometimes I get in my own head a lot.
I do too.
But the fact that you always have that sort of positive outlook, and it's almost like no fear.
Yeah.
To some degree.
Yeah.
That you have.
It is, and it is really, isn't it? Look at what we achieve as humans. Well, look at what you can achieve. Look at if you just, even Elon Musk, that man sits there like, I'm thinking about putting someone on Mars. If you sat, you'd be like, what? Are you for real? But now, look at what he's achieved.
Yeah. Dropping
rockets and landing them back on pods out in the ocean. And you kind of go, maybe he can put someone on Mars then.
Yeah.
Do you know? And it's just because there's no ceiling. Yeah. There's no ceiling.
And nothing's
impossible.
Fear.
There's no fear. There's no ceiling.
Yeah.
So how high do you want to go? It's all cool.
Yeah, I love that. I'm already feeling motivated sitting here. I'm ready. I'm ready to go and take things to the next level. So hopefully those that are listening today will have really benefited from listening to you.
I hope so.
About everything. And if there are things, of course, all your details and everything will be in the descriptions on the podcast and on YouTube and everything. So if anyone's thinking, I want to tap into Neil's brain there, they can reach out to you. So thank you, Neil. Appreciate it. Oh, here we go.
It's not a plug because it's not my book, but this will help people. But this is a gift from me to you.
Oh, lovely.
I definitely, if you own a business, run a company, go out and read this because it will only help them.
Definitely. Yeah. I can imagine. I'm going to be picking your brain now thank you so much, after this podcast. So thank you.
It's my pleasure.
It's been awesome.
Yeah, lovely to see you.
And thank you everyone for listening today. Love this episode? Don't miss out. Hit subscribe on our YouTube channel and follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts and Instagram as we continue to keep it real.